The heartthrob to follow Justin Bieber's footsteps, 16 with a dream. Austin Mahone was pushed as the second coming, and if you were a teenager in 2014, you knew who he was. Opening for the likes of Taylor Swift, Jason Derulo, Fifth Harmony, Pitbull, and being linked with Becky G and Camila Cabello romantically, he made connections and intermingled with big names in the industry. Short career and will fizzle out just as fast as the flame in that match lit. From OnlyFans to lawsuits to a waning solo career and to a recent country pivot.
Huh? Oh my God, what is that?
What happened to Austin Mahone?
Austin Mahone. You know who that is?
Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about what happened to Austin Mahone. As someone who was a huge fan of his back in middle school, I never really kept up with his whereabouts closely, but I was scrolling through my timeline the other day and I saw him singing Say Something and All I Ever Need in concert in 2024. And with me doing my recent video essay on male pop artists and where they've went, he was a name that briefly was mentioned in the video, but I don't think a comprehensive update has been done on what he's doing now and also just the span of his career. I personally want to start a series, What Happened To, where I can really hone in and focus on artists that I've been thinking about. So comment down below some people that you guys would like to see me talk about. I've been thinking about Pia Mia, I've been thinking about Prima J. Pull up a chair, get your snacks, get a blanket, get a drinky drink, like, comment down below, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's get right into the video. Chapter 1, Humble Beginnings. Austin Mahone was born April 4th, 1996, born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. Raised by his mom, his dad passed away when he was around a year old. And like many kids at the time, he gained recognition and popularity for covering pop songs on YouTube. Beginning his covers in around 2010, his journey kind of took off. And this followed the trend of the time of artists like Justin Bieber, Tori Kelly, Shawn Mendes, Alessia Cara, getting their start doing YouTube covers. YouTube was booming, and the covers were covering and launching careers. Austin uploaded covers of It Will Rain, Someone Like You, No Air, How to Love, Replay, Wait For You, More Than This. But his 2011 cover of Mistletoe by Justin Bieber changed it all, which further aligned him into that boy next door image, especially at a time where people were looking for the next Justin Bieber. His success had finally skyrocketed, and people saw the vision and ran with it. I should be chilling with my folks I know. Not his grandmama in the background. Managers started calling, and his career was born. It was giving teen heartthrob, and they would even call him Baby Bieber, to the point where the comparison was so strong, and Justin's influence on Austin's covers and early career was almost too noticeable. If you go back and watch Justin Bieber's With You cover that he did before he was discovered, and Austin's With You cover that he did before he was discovered, Austin was singing Justin's cover.
Girl, you're my heart. You're my heart. With you, with you, with you, with you. Oh. With you, with you, with you. Oh.
So the thread runs deep. And when Austin himself cited Bieber as a major inspiration time and time again, his name would be compared and tethered to the star off rip. This goes back to that sons and daughters conversation that we've had. It can be very risky early on to self-associate or consistently mention a star that you're similar to, especially if you want to evade comparison. We have his career launch. As with most cases, you need to be discovered or co-signed to receive your big break. So in 2012, producers Rocco Did It Again and Mike Blumstein signed Austin to their label, Chase Records, which is under the umbrella of Republic Records. And later in his recording contract, he would then enter a triple joint venture with, no you didn't guess it, Cash Money Records. Very random. That is also an imprint of Republic. When I saw that he was signed to Cash Money Records, I was like, huh? Like, Cash Money, Cash Money? Like Lil Wayne Cash Money, Birdman Cash Money? Yeah. That one. Their goal equal to turn this kid into a household name and make him the next teen pop star alongside Bieber. And he's shared his feelings towards being compared to Bieber very candidly.
Did it ever affect you when people always said it's the next Justin Bieber, or did that shit not bother you?
Was definitely flattered by it, because growing up, when I was putting myself on YouTube, a part of me that was like, I kind of want to follow in his footsteps a bit. And then after that, then people were like, oh my God, you're the second coming of Justin. And I'm just like, I mean, thank you, I guess. Later in life, I was like, this is cool, but like, I don't know if I want to be known as that.
His debut single, 1111, was released to iTunes in June 2012. That used to be my song. And it kind of was a dupe of One Time to me. Like, it sounded very similar, the same essence. But his second worldwide single, Say Something, was released in June 2012. And this is really when people started to put a face with the name. And personally, when I became unhealthily obsessed. Mind you, I was like 13, so forgive me. And this is where the journey started as well for many of you. My homies were born. And clearly his sound at conception, they went with this Cali pop, surfer-like, bright, bubbly sound. Don't just stand there, girl, I gotta know. Okay, this was like the first iteration of Austin's music. And the song actually went gold. And it was followed up with Say You're Just a Friend featuring Flo Rida. And that released in December 2012. And that sampled a song by Biz Markie, Say You're Just a Friend. And it also went gold. Now this song, keep in mind, Austin had a decent voice. With some training, I would say he had a borderline decent to good voice, okay? Loud, noisy production that really buried his voice. It became a theme of his music from conception. Muddy vocals, fighting the grinding production. You couldn't really hear him. And he'd actually go on to release a piano version of Say You're Just a Friend because fans were complaining that they couldn't hear him. And when teenage girls are saying, I can't hear you, and they're actually focused on the music, you need to fix that shit. And he actually said, I knew my fans loved the original version, but I saw a lot of comments saying that they really couldn't hear my voice. So I wanted to reassure them that I can sing the song. And that's where they made his second mistake. He had a good voice. They just covered it up completely. So as you can see, things moved lightning fast for him in his career beginnings. And in the following years, a lot of his success would be crammed into the span of a couple years. Let me be a little more generous, like 5 years. And amidst all of that, his image was intertwined with different brands, like for instance, being an ambassador for Lil Wayne's brand Truck Fit. So a lot of random collabs, but rubbing shoulders with the right people. And his debut EP, released May 2013, and you guessed it, what was the name? Extended Play. It literally was called Extended Play. His team did not even bother to give it a legit name. And it was only released in Japan, which shocked me because I was like, wait a minute. Do I remember having this? But Japan had received his music decently well. His song Say You're Just a Friend debuted on the Japan Hot 100 at number 12, versus in the United States, that song peaked at number 4 in the bubbling under charts. So we already see Japan kind of creating a space for Austin, and that's gonna come up again. So keep that in your back pocket. And his biggest song would come up to this point, What About Love? And that was released on June 10th, 2013. And the sound kind of switched up again. They clearly went for a 90s boy band pop sound, right? To differentiate his music slightly from his peers. Dance pop, still heavily produced with vocals kind of taking a back seat. It seemingly worked though, because this would mark his very first entry on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 66. And I actually like this song. I think it's a cute song. It's fine. It's fun. I think it was deserved. And the music video actually won MTV's Artist to Watch at the 2013 VMAs, and he was chosen to be an opener for Taylor Swift's Red Tour. Guys, I really realized doing research for this, I did not know much about his career. I just thought he was cute. He'd also go on to headline his own tour, the MTV Artist to Watch tour, where they said Austin is ready to pop and lock his way through a city near you this fall.
I love to pop and lock and jam and break.
Screaming. And he'd also go on to make some cameo appearances in songs with Becky G, for example, the Smurf 2 soundtrack. And they collabed a lot of times while also confirming a relationship that didn't last that long. song? Because not him saying in the interview that they broke up like 2 days ago.
We actually kind of broke up like a few days ago. Just because like we're just so busy traveling and all that, you know, we thought it was just, you know, kind of best we just chill for a second. But we're still super close. We're close friends.
Then I think his arguably worst, most ear-grinding single released, Banga Banga, in 2013. And it was released as a promo single. Got me asthmatic because you're like the perfect ballerina. If that is a semblance of the lyricism in that song, you guys don't even really need to go and hear it. Like, there's this grinding alarm. The song was terrible. It was terrible. And I forced listen because I liked them. But child, even back then, I could not stand the sirens. Now, we're getting into his mid-career. In January 2014, which featured Pitbull, would become his most successful song to date, which received a platinum certification. And it charted as high as 49. The song was a bit gimmicky again, another cheeky dance pop track, fairly generic, a little bit ear grating, not the worst, not the best. And this was the second single for his second EP to come out, or that would be coming out, The Secret, which would be released May 2014. This EP would end up peaking number 5 on the Billboard 200 albums and EP chart. So keep in mind, no album yet. We are in 2014, almost 2 years after his technical debut. Now, between this period of 2015 to 2018, there's kind of a lot in here. He'd released music independently on SoundCloud, and he actually released a free SoundCloud mixtape called This Is Not the Album in December 2015. Very on the nose, because at this point everyone's asking, where's a solid body of work? He had some rap features around this time, and his music was a bit more R&B leaning. Another sound shift featuring artists like Sage the Gemini, Chris Brown, Kyle, T-Pain. So you can imagine that fans were starting to check out musically. They might have still thought he was cute and attractive, but fans started checking out. And around this time, there was rumors that he was dropped from his label. Republic executive Avery Littman said, "The kid can close down any mall in America, but we are still struggling to sell a meaningful amount of records. It sounds good, looks good, and goes right into the weeds." And this was in response to his Secret EP having considerably underwhelming numbers. Now keep in mind, his label was most likely comparing his numbers and success to Justin Bieber. Austin's EP, The Secret, didn't do horrible, as it sold 46,000 copies in the first week. That's not bad, especially when we talk about what artists are selling today. Debuted at number 5, but free-falled on the charts, dropping to number 34 just in its second week. And y'all know I usually don't care about numbers, but the record labels do. So when you're speaking on someone's quote downfall or falling off, it indicates why that might have happened. And in its second week, it only sold 8,000. So that shows there was a dip in interest. It wasn't going anywhere. Meanwhile, Justin, in his early days, his My World album in 2009 sold 137,000 copies in its first week, and it just kept increasing. Each week he was tagging on thousands and thousands and thousands of sales. So in other words, Austin's label was not believing the Bieber hype. It wasn't translating to music sales, and at this point he was fixing to be more of an influencer, and they saw that. Austin parted ways with his label, and he went with Pitbull's label, Mr. 305 Incorporated. They do more collabs. He released a single, Dirty Work, in July 2015, which did, again, enter the Billboard Japan Hot 100, and he received a platinum cert by the RIAJ, Recording Industry Association of Japan. And one of the reasons that Dirty Work was so successful in Japan and had like this extra additional boost is because Japanese comedian Blusen Chimmy started to use Dirty Work as a part of her comedic set, and it led to the song peaking at number 4. He'd go on to release his second mixtape independently, For Me and You, on December 2016, and as y'all can see, his career kind of became an online cluster. He would release singles, EPs, mixtapes, and it was clear that the debut album drop would be dependent upon how singles performed. And they weren't performing. And it started to stand that his mixtapes were more R&B leaning, but his singles were dance pop, dance funk, electro. It just wasn't clicking. But confusingly, y'all remember his 2015 single Dirty Work? He released his debut album, finally, called Dirty Work, the album, in October 2017, guys. This is like 5 years, by the way, after his debut. But he only released his album exclusively in Japan. Why is it just hitting me that he never released an album in the States? And I don't blame him. You gonna work where you getting that money, where you getting that attention, where it's actually translating to sales. And I still wouldn't even say he was like a huge star in Japan. So he would go on to release other EPs and mixtapes. And he would release another one called Oxygen exclusively in Japan, May 2018. And he also released another EP in 2021 called Magic City. So present day. Class, what do a lot of people do when pop isn't working for them? In the big old year of 2024, country is what's hot. Pop doesn't fully pan out, country is right there if you're white. But according to Austin, he didn't do it as a money grab. He says this very, very adamantly, and I respect that. I want to respect, what he's pointing out. I think it's important to have cognizance about that.
When I go back to tap into my roots, I didn't want the rest of the world to just see it as like, oh, like his pop wave wasn't doing it for him, so he's just gonna go cold turkey straight to country. And like, I didn't want people to be like, oh, like he thinks he can just slap on a cowboy hat.
But he's from Texas, so he did say that he always had like this country root. But the precursor to this, in 2023, he collabed with Kid Rock and Jimmy Allen on a single called No Limits, and that was followed by another country single called Withdrawal. And Austin has transitioned into country, kinda, making his second album, A Lone Star Story, that released on June 2023. He did writing camps in Nashville, and he worked with the producer Jim Johnson, who worked with Beyonce, Lil Wayne, etc. And he said that he wanted to work with a producer who kind of had his foot in both worlds, because Austin didn't want to do a full leap into country out of nowhere, but like a soft transition or his version. He still wanted the 808s and those R&B chords. So I'm not gonna lie, it does seem that he's pretty self-aware of the transition and how his career has played out. I don't believe he's in denial about that, but he realizes that his career was quite forced, artistically and creatively.
After a while, I felt like I was just starting to just make music that just sounded like what everyone else wanted to make,
To sum up like that brief timeline, you can see that career-wise. One, after a certain point, his team didn't have a clear plan or idea on where to go next. So when they saw global success in Japan, they absolutely ran with that and catered to that audience and that audience only. It's kind of like they gave up. At least his record label just gave up marketing himself in the States. And he also did see some success in the Latin market. And he also did collabs like Háblame Bajito with Abraham Mateo. And I actually had heard that song because I listened to a little bit of Spanish music. That was like the last song I had really paid attention to him. And I was like, oh, okay, bet. But he had crossover appeal. I just don't know if that was their initial intention. I think they were trying to go for like this all-American, cute little, again, Justin Bieber clone. Another issue was that his music was just very run-of-the-mill. It was generic. It lacked a level of personality. It lacked a level of passion. I quite honestly was only a huge fan because he was cute. And that's what labels bank on. But even when I was a kid, I kind of was like, his music's okay. Like, the dance moves were a little corny. I respect the effort, though. You know what? I'm going to take that back because I respect the effort.
Maybe it's the choreography.
But it was confusing putting this timeline together despite such a relatively small discography, because there's this glaring level of inconsistency that I think was attributed to his label being dropped from his label, starting his independent label. Like, it was just a lot. Republic Records, but also being under Cash Money. Cash Money is mainly known for like pushing hip hop artists, and I don't know if they had the tools or they were equipped to really like help him or to market like a pop teen sensation. There's a level of marketing that has to go into that. I mean, the only advice that Lil Wayne gave Austin was
like, I was like 15, 16, just signed to Cash Money Records, and I walked in the studio and he's just sitting there and he's like, hey man, like, oh, by the way, like, if I can give you any advice, always wear a condom.
Yeah, and we already know there was some crazy shit going on with Cash Money when Wayne was coming up. So let's just say that might not be like the best mix, like a Kid, Cash Money, pop. No, I also know that marketing him as basically a straight up Bieber clone with no shame absolutely led to his demise. And him and Justin had like a relationship where they would joke on the timeline about, bro, you stole my hairstyle, and like they were actually kind of cool. So it worked out like behind the scenes, but to the public it just felt like a cheap interpretation. And that's not to say that Austin was not talented at all, but Justin was just better at everything. better than all of the clones, because at this time they were coming up with clone after clone after clone. A better dancer, better at playing instruments, he had better charisma, he had more star power, and he striked at the exact time, the perfect time. And we also saw how Justin had his One Less Lonely Girl, where he brought a girl on stage, put her in a chair, whatever. Austin and his team came up with this idea for the You Girl, essentially singing to the girl on stage. So it's just too close in the timeline. I'm not saying that Justin reinvented the wheel, but what I'm saying is his success was such a large magnitude that like you couldn't just really get away with just bar for bar copying after a while. And keep in mind that artists like Shawn Mendes and Fifth Harmony, that included Camila Cabello and Normani at the time, were opening for Austin back in the day on his tour. They would end up surpassing his success tremendously as time went on. We're going to get into a bit of the scandals, like the nitty-gritty details after his career as a singer has waned. So, he joined OnlyFans in 2020 to, what he says, promote music and other things. He'll do photo shoots, I guess, in his underwear.
I actually have another shoot for OnlyFans in like 2 days.
You get fully naked?
No.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
The most that I'll go on there is just being in my underwear.
There was a Reddit thread of people who were talking about what he does on there. It said that he does raffles on OnlyFans for signed pics. Somebody said he sold his sweaty post-workout underwear. I don't know. Allegedly. Let's say very allegedly, but this was all said on this Reddit thread. And one fan said that he would send private messages telling fans to buy his nude content when it wasn't there, because Austin said that he's not going to do he's not going to bear it all. He also didn't think it was weird that Bad Baby's OnlyFans 18-year-old countdown wasn't weird. He kind of doubled down on that when he was asked.
Got a countdown to her 18th birthday to drop that content. People are saying like, it's a little weird. Should OnlyFans be 21 up plus, or is it okay for 18 plus?
I think it's okay for 18 plus. I mean, OnlyFans is a platform just like, and any other platform. It's just what you feel like doing with it. So, I mean, shout out to her. I heard she made a lot of money in the first week. So
Killed it, bro.
she's killing it.
So he kind of followed the trend of what a lot of celebs had started doing, of starting an OnlyFans. I just never thought he would do that. But again, when you have had a level of success being in the music industry, rubbing shoulders with certain people, trying to keep up with the Joneses, at a certain point, you're going to do what you got to do to keep up that facade. You can't go and work at a Walmart. And you know why? Because y'all will be the first person to tease them. Also, he was hit with a lawsuit. He was hit with charges by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in March 2023, among other celebrities like Lindsay Lohan, Jake Paul, Lil Yachty, Soulja Boy, Neo, and Akon, for illegally promoting the securities of crypto companies without disclosing their compensation and the amount of their compensation. Based off of these anti-touting laws, if a celebrity is paid to promote a security, we're talking about Bitcoin here, he must disclose not only that he's being paid, but also the amount being paid. And an SEC complaint was filed saying that Austin was paid around $7,500 in Bitcoin by just tweeting this. And the verdict of this case stood that he owed a civil penalty of $37,535. He consented to the judgment without admitting or denying the claims. And he had about under a year to pay this. So yeah, guys, we're getting into lawsuit territory. Was it like being locked up? Is it a mugshot? No, that is something that kind of flew under the radar that I don't think a lot of people know. Now, this one is something I've been peeping for a couple years, but his weird obsession, and I won't even say obsession, but his persistent Normani comments. Okay, I don't know if he has a little crush, a crushy crush. Y'all know they went back during his tour days. Fifth Harmony opened for them. Keep in mind, her bandmate, Camila Cabello, dated Austin Mahone in 2014, allegedly. And people actually say how messy all of that was at that time. Because on the same tour, you had Austin, you had Fifth Harmony, you had Shawn Mendes on the same tour. And Camila, I guess, dated Austin, and obviously we know publicly has dated Shawn on and off. There were some videos that people look back at and they're like, I think Austin might have had a crush on Normani. So he is always under her comments. Always under her comments. Like, persistently. And it, like, people were like, bro, Austin Mahone is thirsty, bro. In her post while she was in Jamaica, y'all, like, quit being weird. And absolutely, you could say it's just like supporting a friend, but I'm not gonna lie, when you start tweeting, I need me a melanin queen in my life, Austin, what? It feels like pander. So there were a couple like cringe moments. And I know very recently he's still kind of been in the comments, whatever. I don't know if it's for attention, but yeah. It's just it's giving thirsty. He also did a TikTok recently where it was playing Taste by Sabrina, and he's like, it's kind of like he's setting up to be like the industry where my hug at dude. Someone said he's using his Raya profile to promote his tour. So, you feel me? Like, he was once very well connected, and it just doesn't seem like he has those same connections. I might be reading into it a little bit much, but I just thought it was kind of funny. And also, he had a little weird collab back in the day with Pitbull and R. Kelly, question mark? In the recent year of 2017, Robert Kelly, Voldemort. Like, you're trying to kill your waning music career at that point. It was on life support. And I also recently watched this video for his new single, Country, from his album A Lone Star Story. And why did I peep a Confederate flag in the background? I mean, at this point, guys, I was deep in the research, so I wasn't gonna completely, like, not make this video. And I think it was probably someone else's, but that's what I don't like. Y'all don't have to do a country portrayal, like, oh, I'm from the country, whatever. You don't have to do that and Confederate flags. It's disrespectful. I don't care. I said what I said. I said what I meant. It's disrespectful. You got an editor on that team. Y'all need to be looking at everything. So maybe he pulled up somewhere and was like, hey, we shooting a music video, and everybody's like, bet. And somebody's funky ass had a Confederate flag. Okay, you can't control what everybody does. But I feel like it's a choice to keep that in post-production. So the murification of a lot of things right now is a big yikes, and I was quite disappointed about that. But we're used to this. So what is in the future for Austin Mahone? Currently touring his album A Lone Star Story in a few cities, very small, very intimate. We're talking about like a bar type beat. He's doing TikToks, he's doing his OnlyFans, and he actually revealed on the exact same podcast not too long ago that he sold his catalog in 2023. And somebody said, the whole 3 songs gone. Somebody said, I hope he invested $800. Someone said he has a music catalog. He had bought back his masters years before that just to sell them and flip them.
Why'd you sell them?
Just because I was like, why not? You know, like they're older records, so they're not like and get a nice chunk of change for it.
You just buy back your masters like 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
So you bought them back and then just kind of flipped them.
Exactly.
And who is this person licensing the music to? I just had to throw my little shade in there, but that was hilarious. But he says that it's not a new chapter, it's a whole new book. So that is what happened to Austin Mahone. It's been interesting doing this research because like the inner child in me is like, huh? Like, how did we time hop? Like, comment down below. Let me know what other artists you guys want to see. But I will not be posting the week of Christmas. We'll be sending you guys updates from Thailand and soaking up the experience. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.